single deck they're bringing has Illusory Cleaver and Scrap Pack, which is pretty interesting.
I think we've gotten into... We're also seeing all but one deck run Screaming Scrat, which I'm not that surprised by.
No, they're both very strong cards. And then obviously, apart from that, you get your general mid-range affair. It seems both players are working around with that. Acer bringing the Apet, Mordar, Ravager, and King Puff against Kishin's Volko, Mordar, and King Puff and Milloween. So let's see, ban-wise, what do you think these players would be looking to ban from each other?
I think probably the first... King Puff is a general good ban. I think Kishin probably... He might also be looking to ban out the Apep if his Mordar isn't banned, as I think his Mordar would lose in that in the match against Apep.
Do you think it's maybe King Puff bans on both sides?
I think King Puff bans are the most likely to see, just because King Puff can be difficult to play against. If you get unlucky with your shields or the opponent's shields, it can be very difficult to get through a King Puff. I don't think either King Puff deck is so threatening that they are a 100% ban, but I think it looks otherwise that the two have answers to the remaining decks, and King Puff is going to be the one that would be the most difficult match.
Yeah. King Puff is one of those masters. He doesn't really have many particularly weak matchups. I'd probably say his weakest is going to be against the Stormbringer.
I'd agree. I think Stormbringer can do very well there. I think the other ban is Acer might want to ban out Kishin's Millow. Just on a basic perspective, it seems that likely his Apep would lose. I don't think his Apep has enough damage to kill out the Millow before you're hitting perk 3.
Especially not against the perk 3 Milloween, no.
Right.
Apep just does not have that kill potential before he gets the crazy cycling going at perk 3.
Right.
He's more of a master just tries to outlast his opponent, and when you've got a level 5 Arcane Golems coming in from Bridge Shrine, you start running into issues.
Yeah, I think otherwise, Acer's decks have enough damage to potentially kill the Millow early, but I still think I think King Puff and Millow are probably the two bans that I'd be looking between if I was Acer. I think from Kishin's perspective, it depends on how ready you are to fight a Ravager that can have some very threatening pushes come in.
Yeah, it is hard to say. I don't really think Kishin actually has that many strong answers to a Ravager push. There's obviously the Divine Warriors, but the shield doesn't last as long nowadays. And you can't really bring multiple copies of that card to a KPC.
Right. And potentially his Mordar with the Harbinger could take out some of the big threats from that Ravager, but it still doesn't have a good answer to the Succubus. I think...
Yeah. I think the Colossus would be capable of that, but...
Right, but that's still a lot of mana to be able to answer what would be...
Still a lot of mana to set the push up, to be honest. I think
right.
Mordar could beat that.
I think the Mordar probably has the best chance, but I still... That'd be a matchup I would not want to... That's committing a lot of mana on both sides, and whoever loses that match... That first fight is just down so much mana, I don't think you can recover. I think probably the best bans here are King Puff and Millow bans from Acer and Ravager and King Puff bans from Kishin.
Yeah, we have bans coming in now. Kishin is banning out Acer's Apep, while Acer is going to ban out Volko and King Buff in return. Just waiting on Kishin's second ban. I think the Volko's a pretty solid ban here. Volko's just a very consistent master in the tournament format. You don't really see him too much on the ladder, but that perk 1, when you're just maintaining these tiny advantages over your opponent, really starts to add up quickly. We've seen this several tournaments in a row now. People just underestimate the amount of damage a Volko can put out just from perk 1.
Volko, I think, is the master that has the biggest disparity between strength on ladder and strength in tournament. Volko might be the strongest tournament master just because you can get so much out of that burn if you can control the bridge. And when you know what you're up against, it's much easier for a Volko to make sure he's in control of that bridge.
Indeed. Kishin looks like he's preparing that last ban. Bans out the Ravager like he suggested. Not confident about taking down those Ravager pushes, so that's going to leave Acer with his Mordor and his King Puff up against Kishin's Mordor and Milloween. So we're going to see a lot of Mordors in this matchup. I feel like Kishin will probably open up with his Mordor. I think it might be better to fall back on the Milloween in case he loses.
Yes, I think Kishin's Mordor is the strongest opening he has. His Millow probably will do fine against the Mordor. I'm not sure how well it could hit the King Puff, mostly because I think the Flame Imp and the Assassin are both pretty significant threats that I'm not sure how efficiently that Millow deck can deal with.
Yeah. I think one of the things you need to think of going into these best of threes is that the master you don't pick first is potentially one you're going to have to win twice with obviously being your last resort of sorts. And between a Mornar and a Milloween, I think just the Bridge Shrine Clear Skies Milloween is so consistent of a deck type that I would much safer using that over the Mordor. Because Mordor can get ruined by bad resurrections. It's very...
Yes.
It varies wildly from game to game. I mean, there's only really 3 good resurrections in that deck.
Right, and I think the other issue a Mordor has is if you're falling back on the Mordor, if your opponent has gotten into a good rhythm to counter your Mordor, you know, it might be too late in the first match for them to pull out a win, but once they get in that rhythm, it's not difficult for them to figure out how to force the bad reses in the second match. Millow, it's much harder to get into a rhythm against.
Okay, and we looks like we're having the match starting up here. It's going to be... Oh, he is going to open up with the Milloween, actually. It's going to be the Milloween versus the King Puff. See, Kishin looks like he's having a great opening hand here to start out. I think maybe you consider playing the Morgul, but he could just look to set up that Bridge Shrine nice and early and keep that for the defense by playing the Screaming Scrap.
Yeah, and that looks to be a...
Yeah, there's no real clean in this deck.
Nope, that will be an illusory, but we do have the Dragon Pack taking the bridge.
Yeah, it's like both of them are kind of awkward opening hands to start the match out with. Generally, you want to get one of your cheaper minions to take both the bridges, preferably the Scrap Pack, but Acer played the illusory thing very defensively.
And that will force a Fireball to clear the Drone Buzzers. That is technically mana neutral, but with the Drone Buzzers already getting some face damage off, that is value headed over to Acer.
I like what Acer did there. He played the Assassin right on the middle line, so it was impossible to tell which way it was going, and it actually mixed Kishin up. He thought it was going on the bottom lane, and the Morgul misses the Assassin, making him lose the Arcane Golem in return. Very nice mind games there from Acer.
And a good bridge swap that's going to give 2 different threats for him to respond to too late on the Scrat to stop the Prowler jump.
Nice Scare Throwers. Kishin's in a lot of trouble now, even with those Bridge Shrines up. This is a lot of damage coming in early game.
if he can make it a bit longer, he'll be able to start using that Clear Skies Milo to get value back in. And
oh, but Acer instantly sniping the bridges back with the Elusive Cleaver, and Kishin doesn't really want to commit the mana to get rid of that, which allows Acer to set up his sniper squad. It's a King Puff card we haven't really seen much, but sniper squad's up there. If you need just some consistent perk 2 range removal, you can't really go wrong with a sniper squad, especially to get those free shields.
I think Sniper Squad is very strong in King Puff because you don't see Daggerfall as much as you see on Ladder. Daggerfall is almost mandatory on Ladder with the number of prop horde decks you see, which means it's very hard to get any value out of a Sniper Squad. Almost always, they will just Daggerfall that down.
Yeah, we see Kishin down, already down to 720 health. Unfortunately, the Screaming Scratch played during the attack animation of the Prowler, meaning it will not turn around, and the Warrior does end up going down there. Acer just seems to have a very commanding presence. Sort of outplaying the Kishin so far, it would seem.
Yes, I think Kishin, his opening hand did him no favors, but he needed to answer the early threats a lot more effectively than he did.
Yeah, I feel like the assassin play was one of the things that set him quite far behind. It's looking like he's actually going to go down here. Down to just 30 health, but the Clear Skies keeps him alive a little bit longer. He's down to 50 health. I don't believe Acer has any hard removal, or just removal spells in general. That's generally not a thing you bring on King Puff.
No,
So Kishin could clutch this out here if he plays it well.
His King Puff does not have any spells in it. He will need to get something to face, but this is a very dangerous push Acer has going.
Well, he's able to whittle it down, but here comes a Raged Prowler. Jumps straight past the Divine Warrior, who's already locked on. Has to drop a defensive shock up there, but here comes the Clear Skies. Just a second, just to heal him up a bit.
And that Clear Skies will take out the shield to kill one of the snipers.
Yeah, and here we go. Perk-free Millowing. This has just got a lot harder for Acer, the fact that Kishin survived that. Now you got the Clear Skies and just the sheer wall of these level 5 golems to get through. It's not going to be easy.
Right, and this also means that he doesn't need to be using bridge shrines as much. It's easier for him to both get the bridges, and he's currently ahead in XP. If he can just survive a bit longer, Kishin easily
I think he does need to play the bridge shrines. Acer is just able to keep so far ahead in bridge control. The experience advantage he did have from those early bridge shrines is practically gone already. Yeah, we see it there.
I think a Clear Skies needs to be coming out soon if Kishin's going to survive it. The assassin.
Yeah, there is an assassin very close to his face. I mean, he looks like he was going to tank it up. What? Not? Where is it?
There's the assassin on the bridge.
It was on the bridge. Okay. He must have got pulled back by the Screaming Scrap, was chasing it for a while. We see him drop a fireball just on killing that one sniper. I don't know if it's preferable, but the Clear Skies removing all the buffs off King Puff's minions.
A good Clear Skies. This is one of the dangers of playing King Puff into Clear Skies Milo.
Yeah, but we see those shielded sniper scrats. That's a real nuisance. The way it whittles down, takes out both of the arcane golems. Give me a fireball coming out to get rid of them though, but the damage is already done. Now he's got to try and contend with this. He's gonna Clear Skies to get rid of the rage and protect himself a bit, but he still takes out assassin damage. That still keeps him precariously low. He's hanging on by a thread here.
He has not had a lot of health at any point recently, but he is perk 3 and he does have a quick cycle. He might be able to just hold on with that Clear Skies heal. And when you see him, he's dropped below 250 again. Those Clear Skies, only thing that have been keeping him from losing this already. And a stealth assassin for the lethal.
I didn't even catch that one breaking through, and it looks like Neo to Kishin by that illusory cleaver placement. Very well played from Acer, just capitalizing on that advantage in the mid-game, and Kishin was hanging on very admirably for a long time, but that one assassin gets through and ends the game. I think that's just how you've got to play against Bridge Triamilloween. He really forced the issue early on, and there just wasn't really much of a response for it. I got straight back into game 2 though, so
he needed to hold a bit better early.
Yeah. And now Kishin breaking out the Pyro Mordor. This should actually do a lot better against the King Puff. Mordor's a slow master, obviously, but his decks are generally built to be a bit more defensive, especially with that Colossus.
And the Colossus will do well to clear some of the threats. Colossus can catch assassins that are stealthed if they can hit things that are in front of it, and Colossus deals very well with the flightless dragons.
Absolutely. You're gonna have to worry about these drone buzzers though. That's gonna be a bit annoying for him to deal with. And the sniper squad again. He doesn't actually have a Daggerfall in his deck. All he's got is his Fireball, which isn't a great answer. AoE is just a little bit too small to consistently get them because every sniper squad's gonna get split up.
A Tombstone a bit late from Kishin. I would have expected that out earlier to try to catch the Prowler. He's taking a lot of damage.
Warrior, but he wants to set up this Tombstone. If either of these die within a lot of time, it's a free resurrection, and you can't just ignore both of these, so it looks like he can use the Flightless Dragons. Oh, it's a good Sunburn, though! Takes out everything!
And that Sunburn will guarantee that Colossus res.
Yeah, and the Sunburn's also actually going to be a really good answer against the Sniper Squad towards the late game when they get those shields in. I didn't even realize that was in his deck at the time. Armature connects on the face is good damage. Oh, juicy Fireball hits the Assassin as well! And now Acer's in a lot of trouble. There's 2 Colossi on the board.
And he'll take out the Harp here, but those Colossi are going to be a huge threat that the snipers won't be able to deal with effectively.
Well, they're able to chip him down pretty effectively, but the Xiaolong's Fort will be coming in shortly. And I think it'll be fast enough, though.
I think the bigger problem is your snipers...
Yeah, no, he managed to get in, and now you got 2... Yeah. Admittedly battered Colossi, but that's still going to do a lot of damage.
Right, and he has 2 Tombstones ready to play, and there's both of them out.
Oh, that's a good snipe. That's a good screaming strat. That takes out all 3 of the Flightless Dragons.
And you don't really want him. The Divine Warrior's a decent res to force here, but it looks like he's going to be stuck resing a Cleaver.
Decent res, but Acer has no choice.
He will res the Divine Warrior now with his second Tombstone, but that Cleaver...
Yeah, I think it's more important to get that Cleaver Resurrection at all. It is going to die pretty quickly, but nice opportunity for a Sunbird there from Kishin. Takes out that Sniper Squad, keeping that Harbinger nice and safe.
Acer is very low health. I don't think he's got an answer to the Harbinger in time. He does not, and that will be game 2.
Game 2. Just a fantastic early game play. We doubted the Tombstone placement instead of protecting himself from the Prowler, but you know, you gotta give a little to get a lot. Decides to trade in that health to set up the Harbinger and the Tombstone, and it pays off in dividends by getting that double Colossi on the board.
A very strong match by Kishin with his Mordor. And that was his Fireball to kill the Assassin and the Snipers. Very well played.
Yep, so it looks like we'll be going into a game 3. That is going to be the Mordor versus... Who was the other one? Mordor versus Mordor, I think. The Mordor mirror matchup.
Here it will be all about managing the reses. Acer's Mordor has only minions in it, which means that he will have to play more carefully to make sure he doesn't get a bad res. And Kishin's Fireball will offer him a bit more options on forcing out reses.
Honestly, I think the issue is less Acer's own resurrections, but more, how is he going to stop Kishin getting a good resurrection?
Right.
I need to rely on spells for that.
Right. I think here he might be forced to give him the value reses of Colossus or Harbinger multiple times.
Yeah, and he has got a Harbinger himself, but I just don't see that being too effective. Oh, the Dragon Wolf actually targets onto the Harbinger there. Unfortunate for Kishin. I think he was relying on it targeting the Colossus.
And the Strat tank, well played to stop the Harbinger from killing it initially.
Yeah, no, it looks like Kishin, he's weighing this out. He's not too confident about if he does recognize Yao Long or not. Obviously, he doesn't want that to happen, but it's looking like he's going to get a potential... Nope, this is Yao Long res. Unfortunate. Both of them died just before the Tombstone goes active.
And a Cleaver res by Acer. That is very good for Acer and very bad for Kishin. He does not have a lot of mana to deal with a lot of threats.
Indeed. Scrap Pack, it's a little dodgy. Gets to top bridge. Requires a Dragon Roll response from Acer, though. But the problem is Acer's able to answer that entirely. And Kishin's just really playing on the back for now. This is so much coming out from Acer off of that one Cleaver Resurrection.
Right. And the Xiao Wolf was no value for him.
Yeah, and the Dragon Wolf and the Harbinger is absolutely wailing on Kishin here. I don't think he has a proper answer to this. He has to burn a Fireball out just to kill that. And another Harbinger gets set up.
Yes, and the Cleaver res is not going to get him much value against that.
Yeah, just that early game Resurrection, Kishin really not getting the value he wanted, while Acer gets a free Cleaver that has to be responded with not very efficiently either. Kishin just really doesn't have much of a mechanism to get back into this after that.
No. I think if he can survive, he might be able to get more value out of his spells, but I don't know that he can survive long enough to do that.
Yeah, this Harbinger is a tremendous problem because he has to get through the Scrap Tank to even touch it.
That Scrap Tank will go down, but he's still got a lot to deal with.
Yeah, looks like the Tombstone's gonna tank up for him. Does not get this Yao Long res. The res would have been nice out of it, but you know, you'll take what you're given at this point.
He will kill the Harbinger, but that's gonna res, and he does not have an answer for it.
Oh, that is two Harbingers on the field. Kishin's in a very bad spot now. And in a real Cleaver. This is so much pressure coming from Acer.
I don't see how Kishin gets out of this.
I don't see, not with the Scrap Tank as well. Now the Harbinger has two solid tanks in front of it against one. He's gonna drop the coda, but this is gonna die so quickly. Half its health, it gets thrown to the back of the arena with half health.
The Scrap Pack will draw off the Harbingers temporarily, but he still needs better answers, and one is on Faith. That's going...
It's targeted on Faith. It's gonna be a kill. Acer takes the set 2-1. I mean, in a Mordor mirror match like that, the first Resurrection is the most important one, and it really shows there just how unfortunate Kishin got with the timing on that Resurrection.
He never could develop any kind of response after that. He just had too much momentum against him to get back in the game.
So that is going to be the end of that match. And we'll be coming to a quick break. Getting you guys a couple of games as we go along, hopefully.
And we'll see if we've got any results elsewhere.
Yeah. All right. So we will see you guys in a few minutes. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us. Round one went a little bit long, but that's mainly because two people were having an extremely long set. I just caught the end of the final match, and it was like an 8-minute, 40-second Demon Warrior match. So those do tend to drag on quite a bit. So we're going to
Demon Warrior.
Never fails to disappoint. So we've got a quick recap of the previous round results, and then we will go on to discussing the bans and players. So, Cat 2-0's Katsui, Greywolf 2-0's Archie, Video Gamer 77 2-0's Soul Spirit, Zinny 2-0's Villain Razor, Tomato Mato 2-1's Mephisto, and quite the upset.
That is a surprise.
Westland 2-0's Von Slacken, JF 2-0's Death Slave, Pancham 2-1's Decimus, Lazar 2-0's Joltaire, Rizi 02 2-0's Chevron, Croker X 2-1's Adrian, Maddie 2-0's Floyflorian, Hasbomber 2-1's Unseen Savage, Acer 2-1's Kishin, Pepega 2-1's Universal Flare, Chris 2-1's Vankiss, Calgroth 2-1's Aerodra, and Shin 2-0's Thunderbuns. Moving into round 2, we will be watching Zinny versus Calgroth.
We have the first bans coming in. Calgroth will ban out King Puff. I think that's a strong choice. Zinny's King Puff. The future cards in King Puff are a bit unorthodox, but if you can get a 4 or 5 mana minion from your future card, that can be very threatening.
Yeah, just Future Presence is a card we really haven't seen much since the meta sort of sped up with all the Ravages. The card was considered too slow, but it's still a very strong card. And looks like Zinny was aiming to bring it back, but that gets banned out. In return, Zinny bans out Volko and Ravager. Pretty expected, obvious bans. They're just very volatile masters to play against.
Yes, and I think Zinny needs... that's the correct choice, given one of Zinny's decks is a fairly slow-going Diona deck. I don't think that deck would be able to hold out against a Ravager push or a Volko burn long enough to win.
That is actually a very interesting Diona deck from Zinny. Swarmer Totem and Crossbow Guild. Full greed.
I think it works on Diona just because of how many defensive options you have. If you can get good crossbow traps, taunt totems, and it will get banned out by Calgroth.
Yeah,
I think that's
very much fair enough. That does sound pretty scary to try and push through, especially with Scrap Tank and Arcane Bolts as well.
Right. I think that is a very defensive deck, and I think Zinny, that Diona deck, will be very difficult for those who hit it just because you're probably not prepared to play against a Diona that's running that deck.
And I think even Zinny's bans reflected that. I mean, he banned the 2 aggressive masters out from Calgroth.
Yes, he will. Calgroth still will have his King Puff, which can be a threat. However, while that King Puff does have a Propeller Horde in it, Zinny's 2 remaining decks do have fairly good answers here. There's a Daggerfall on the Volko, and his Setsu has not only a Setsu drop, which is a very easy answer to it, it does have a Shock Rock to deal with it as well.
Yeah. So it's probably going to be a I would expect a Setsu opener from Zinny. It just seems like it does well against either the King Puff or the Rappo here.
I think that's the case as well. I think Setsu is a very versatile master in general, and I think it's very easy for Zinny to simply get value out of the Setsu drop against either of the remaining decks for Calgroth. It is interesting to see Calgroth bringing Crystal Archers in every deck post what I think is a nerf to Crystal Archers. I'm not sure they're still in as good of a position as they were earlier.
It seems like we are in a game. I do not seem to have any spectate options on Discord, though. So I'm going to try something real quick. There's some minor technical difficulties we're investigating. Looks like the match has not started yet, though.
Yeah, it looks like Zinnyu's Minion Masters dropped.
I think he's restarting the game. Okay, yep, I've got a spectate option now.
But what is King Puff Cup without technical difficulties?
What would it be without technical difficulties? They're here every tournament. At this point, we just sort of have to embrace them.
I'm personally waiting to spontaneously combust as we get towards the end of casting.
Yeah, it did happen once back in, like, KPC 3. It's a bit tragic. FDM got charged for it, of course. Alright, looks like we have been able to resolve those potential issues, so we should be going in-game shortly.
I am curious to see Zinnyu's Diona deck get played at some point.
I'm certain we'll see some Diona as we get later in the tournament. I mean, we have like 4 Dionas from people who have over 10 KPC points, so... But here we go. That'll be for later. Now is now, and we've got Setsu versus King Puff. It's a nice opening from both players there. Zinny splitting up the Propeller Horde to take that top bridge back while Calgroth gets the usual scrap pack goodness. It is very interesting that he is playing the Crystal Archers, especially in King Puff. I mean, there's still a very strong card post-nerf simply because of the attack delay reduction and the amount of DPS they're able to put out, but only you'd see them in Stormbringer still.
Zinny playing very aggressively here to keep those bridges. I think that's the right call here. Zinny needs to get... The Setsu drop is just such a huge boost to the deck's threat. You want that as early as possible. Especially
against a Succubus. We're going to see him look to drop... Nope, he's throwing a Dragon Ball out, actually. That's fair enough, too. That works. This is actually kind of a scary push, but there's a defensive shopper coming on in. There's going to be a Setsu jump, but the damage will be done. And a nice bridge swap from Calgroth.
That will save his defense from the worst of the damage, but it will mean taking some face damage from that Setsu. I think that's still a fair trade for Calgroth to make.
Yeah, especially the amount of momentum he just got on the board from that. So nicely done bridge swap from Calgroth. Zinny's push doesn't get defused by that defensive shot, but...
And Zinny's still playing very aggressively here. The bridge buddies, as an inclusion, that is going to be a lot of bridge control for Calgroth to deal with.
Yeah, Bridge Buddy's just a fantastic Setsu card. Solves one of her bigger issues, which is maintaining the bridges, and it gives her a nice cheap reload late game that you can just kind of throw out without worrying too much about it, so...
Yes, and I think the reload is one of the big things to manage on Setsu to get the most value, and the reload will be coming in pretty soon.
Yeah, looks like we have another defensor coming on out that does not stop the werewolf from transforming. That Dragon Ball was unfortunate for Calgroth. He placed the drone blizzards right into its path.
That's going to be a lot of damage for on Calgroth now.
Looks like it is going to get taken down now. There's a lot of DPS coming out from those multi-unit minions, but Calgroth pays the price.
A big goof there. That is... I think Calgroth should have known that there was going to be a Dragon Ball coming in. He's got the Dragon Ball Wolf Among Sheep combo, and he had been holding
I don't think he was expecting it on top of a single unit. I think he was maybe relying on the drone busts getting a little bit of value out before that Dragon Ball got dropped down. So it was either an excellent read or just very fortunate for Zinny. Take your pick, I'd say.
I think it's more fortunate, but I think Calgroth would have been fine had he played the drone buzzers a bit back. I think his problem was playing them too aggressively forward. If he could have just gotten them a bit behind his defense, so they would have been clear of the Dragon Ball. Calgroth now with a good counter push going, but with the Tantrum Throwers in Zinnyu's deck, getting a counter push might not always be the most valuable choice.
Yeah, this Shield Propel Horde, the bane of most people's existence when it gets to perk 2 King Puff. It's just so hard to deal with.
But Setsu
drop coming on in with that cheap Divine Warrior as well. Oh, nice stun shot as well. I mean, it was a coincidence, but hitting that Succubus helps a lot in taking care of her.
And that's
nice
going to be a
reload
into Dragon Ball. That is a lot of threat coming in.
And he's got that Shock Rock and Bridge Buddies on the backline as well, just for when a reload's needed.
And there's the reload to deal with that. And a Shock Rock reload to clear the drone buzz.
Do not drop a Propeller Horde on the Setsu and perk 3. That's not a good decision. I think we've just seen it there. And the Setsu immediately redeployed. Gonna connect the face though, does not hit the Crystal Archers. A little bit unfortunate for Zinyu.
But I think that's probably good for him just to be able to clear the stuff on his base without having to spend mana. It would have been nice to clear out the Crystal Archers first, but this certainly will work for him.
Yeah, unfortunately he has to drop a unactivated Fireball or Dragon Ball to clear out that top lane, but...
A good swap here by Calgroth to save his drone buzzers.
Yeah, now that King Puff's hit that perk 3, bridge control becomes a lot more significant.
But Zinyu's got a minor XP lead. If he can keep control of the bridge, it's very easy for Setsu to deal a lot of damage.
Zinyu's being very conservative when he uses this Setsu. I kind of like it.
It's a good defensive play to keep that Setsu from being dropped too often.
Yeah. Otherwise we could see it just leaving him vulnerable, or it just doesn't get the damage in because he didn't have the bridges taken. It's better to keep it nice and stable right now with the sheer amount of push Setsu can form from the Master Tower alone, just from that stun blast. We see a Dragon Ball going straight to face, gets a couple of hits in. This is some significant damage. The Divine Warrior blocking the bridge up too, that could be game for Zinyu. That's gonna be it.
That will be game. A very, very strong ending by Zinyu.
Really well executed there to finish off that King Puff. He saw that window of opportunity and he just went for it.
Divine Warrior's shield being changed does make it harder to pull off that successfully, just because Divine Warrior used to be able to hold a bridge for quite some time just off the Divine Shield alone. This change does make it harder to get that lethal down, but a very strong finish from Zinyu to get that kill.
And an participant chat, Zinyu says he needs 30 seconds to take a breather. So, yeah, definitely focused on that game. And it shows.
Yes, and now we will see the Setsu into Ratbo coming next.
That is not a good matchup for Ratbo against the late game. Early game, it can be okay. Really kind of depends on the deck, but...
I think Calgroth's going to have problems with his Ratbo into the Setsu, primarily coming from the Morgrel. I think the Morgrel deals with a lot of the minions in that Ratbo deck very efficiently.
Definitely.
And I don't think there's... The other big problem he has is the Fire Imp and Whirly Scrat in his Ratbo aren't going to do much. They'll be useful against Wolf Among Sheep, but the biggest threats from that Setsu are Setsu Drop and Dragon Ball, neither of which are that vulnerable to a Whirly, and Dragon Ball especially being a very good counter to Fire Imp.
Yeah, and we see going into game 2, liking out these guilds in the pre-match for the tournament. How are you finding guilds so far?
I think guilds are Guilds are an interesting addition, as on the match as stated, that Dragon Ball quick counter to the Fire Imp.
Yeah.
Guilds, I'm interested to see what more they do with guilds. I do like that guilds have made it a bit easier to find duo partners, especially ones that you might not normally play with.
Of course, and obviously, as we see in these intros, we get a bit of personal flair back into the game.
Yes, that is additionally...
The famous Daddy Guild.
Very well represented in this King Puff Cup. I think the other thing with guilds is, you know, you should be expecting that there become guilds that are highly competitive because it's so easy to set up scrims between guild members.
Yeah.
And keep that... And with those scrims, you can keep it from getting out. Set to drop onto the Fire Imp and Divine Warrior that's gonna...
Yeah, it's been a mostly quiet game so far, kind of back and forth for those Zinnies, holding on to these bridges pretty well. Actually, the Fire Imp does take out the Setsu.
Yes, it did target onto the Divine Warrior first. A pretty good XP lead by Zinyu in this match, too, as well. He's gonna be hitting perk 2 much quicker than Calgroth.
This deck is a horrible matchup for Calgroth. He's got so many ways to answer all of his swarm units. He's got 4 answers, I think, in total, not excluding Setsu herself.
Right, and I think, and the other problem is the Wolf Among Sheep. While it's not as powerful as it used to be, it's still a very... It basically forces Calgroth to hold his Fireball and his Whirly to try to answer that.
Yeah, the fast attack speed on the werewolves make it pretty decent at handling swarm units. Not the best, of course, a Stratholder's still gonna beat it any day of the week, but it's something Calgroth will have to keep in mind.
And we're seeing now Zinyu with a pretty commanding XP lead early on. Currently, it's now to 49 versus 84 XP. Calgroth needs to be controlling the bridges better if he wants to be able to be competitive here.
Yeah, Werewolf coming out again. Getting a lot of damage done in here.
And the Dragon Ball coming down behind that will not clear out the Scrat Tank in time.
Just barely.
Will finish the job.
Opens the lid just long enough for that Dragon Ball to get in there.
Setsu dropped to face. Calgroth's gonna take some damage here, just not having a quick answer with that Divine Warrior out. Calgroth does now have his Mordaka, and he will use it to clear the Zhao. But I think Calgroth also has the problem that his Mordaka won't get a lot of value here. There isn't a huge threat in Zinyu's deck to Mordaka except from perhaps the Setsu drop on face.
Yeah, here we go. Zinyu hits perk 3, and honestly, this feels like it's just going to be the death sentence for Calgroth here. Calgroth really just hasn't been able to make any sizable impact like he'd want on this game. Basically, you could have thrown the bridge plays out maybe a little bit earlier, but he does kind of care about the bridge control. But
and this will be Setsu to face. He's going to try to answer it with the Whirly Scrat, but that's a lot of damage that Calgroth cannot afford while still behind an XP.
I don't really see much of a way for Calgroth to get back into this. I think this is just an instance of a deck being hard countered.
Yes, I almost wonder if it would have been better for him to ban the Setsu and let in Diona, because I think his Ratbow might be capable of beating the Diona. But I don't see any way for it to get through this Setsu.
No, there's just too many AoE options. Like when we hit perk 3 now, the amount of cheap reloads Zinyu has as well.
Right, there's another reload.
It's hitting across to the other bridge. If there was anything on there, Calgroth would have been double value for Zinyu.
Right, and Zinyu's got currently a 54 XP lead.
It's looking like the slow death here.
Calgroth, not even to perk 3, as Zinyu is only 40 XP for Mana Frenzy. That is a bad position for Calgroth, and he's... Even the unactivated Dragon Ball, it's still a lot of value for Zinyu.
Yeah, it's just death by 1,000 cuts at this point. Calgroth is over 50 experience behind against the perk 3 Setsu in a bad matchup. You can't really blame him for this. No. I don't think anyone could win that match.
No, I think this was... I think the moment it hit this Rappo against this Setsu, Calgroth was...
in a lot of trouble.
I don't see many ways, and Calgroth here taking a lot of damage from that Setsu with the
down to 220, one more Dragon Ball cycle will end this game out.
And that...
that's a huge Morgul.
So much.
I mean, it doesn't really mean much at this point, but it's satisfying to see him take out at least 9 mana's worth of stuff.
Dragon Ball Setsu dropped 4 lethal. Simply not enough.
I mean, it was very well played by Zinyu. Let's not take that away from him, but...
Oh, yes. Very, very well played. Very good reloads. But I think here, the main thing we have to give Zinyu is that was a very well-constructed deck.
Yeah. It answers really all of Setsu's major issues, which is in the early mid-game, which is going to be those multi-unit minions that might clog up her reload. If you can answer those efficiently, she's got good DPS against the larger minions, so you don't really end up having to worry too much about them.
And while it doesn't have a lot of good... I think Wolf Among Sheep is probably its biggest threat for damage to the enemy's tower, but that's what Setsu is for. You don't really need a big threat when Setsu is the big threat.
Yeah. So that's going to be all she wrote for that set. Zinyu takes it 2-0 in very convincing fashion. We'll be cutting to a quick break and hopefully hopping into some more matches for you. Stay tuned, guys. Yep, it's going to be Cat versus Westland. These are two very antiquated players of the Minion Masters scene, so this is going to be good.
Cat's decks... It's interesting to see that Cat has 6 cards in common across all of their decks.
That's what Cat's known for. Cat is super consistent.
Cat currently has Ilu Cleaver, Scrat Pack, Screaming Scrat, Divide Warrior, Flame Imp, and Scrat Tank in every deck.
Yeah.
That's
what Cat's known for, being consistent like that. And the bans have come in, as you said. Cat bans Volko and Ravager, while Westland bans King Puff and Mordor. There is a Diona available in this set. What do you think of those bans? I think the Volko ban from Cat makes sense. I think Cat was one of the players that really just kind of broke out how good Volko can be in the tournament setting, so... If anyone's familiar with how strong it is, he is.
I'm not surprised to see the Volko ban. I'm not surprised to see a King Puff ban. King Puff is just... I think King Puff, honestly, is in a bad position now just with how the perk 2 is. The perk 2 can absolutely kill a match if you get the right shields, and I do think Beta Dwarf probably needs to go back and look over King Puff and make some changes there. And I'm not surprised to see King Puff get banned out frequently in these matches either, just because in tournament play, shields on the wrong unit can make or break a match, and you don't really want to say that you ended up losing your tournament because of unfortunate RNG.
Yeah, at the same time, there's a lot of high threats to be considered in Cat's lineups. Obviously, you got those Mordor Resurrections. I mean, there's not really that many good ones, actually. It's a very interesting Mordor deck. Only really 2, maybe 3 Resurrects you particularly want. I'm very surprised that got banned out. Maybe he's just kind of intimidated by the sheer concept of Cat playing a Mordor, but...
I think part of it might also be that Westland's decks don't look to be that great at dealing with it. The Volko getting banned out, Volko might have been the best he had into something like a Mordar.
He does have the stuns to disrupt those tombstones and all his other masters, though.
He does, and he has the rammers as well to kill it out. But it does seem that for some reason he just didn't want to deal with the potential of Mordar's reses. I think Harbinger is probably the big threat to him just because looking through the decks he had available, his Milo probably was the most efficient he could answer a Harbinger. I don't think his Diona or Ravager had any good answers for it.
Actually, yeah, that's a really good point. The Millowing went completely unbanned, which kind of makes me confused about the Mordar ban even more, because Cat has no way to protect that from a Beam of Doom.
Right. I
don't agree with that Mordar ban from Westland. I think he could answer it pretty effectively with any of his decks. But obviously, that's what he chooses for. I would have banned the Milloween, honestly.
I think the Milloween, the advantage here is that the Milloween first doesn't have the clear skies on Cat's end.
Yeah.
Westland has more spells to be using to ramp up his arcane golems. If it comes to a Millow mirror match, I think Westland has the better answers to an arcane golem, which is the primary threat.
I don't think he has good answers outside of that Beam of Doom. Like, that Millowing deck outside of the arcane golem is no damage.
I think, though, they do both have Scrat Tank. I don't know. I think Westland's curve might just give him enough of an advantage that his Arcane Golem versus Cat's Arcane Golem would be favored. Just because he has cheaper spells.
That deck is very much all in on the Arcane Golem. So we would have to see how it worked out. I would favor that towards Cat, just for the sheer bridge control presence, but...
I think the Mordar ban makes more sense if Westland is not planning to start with Milo. If Westland doesn't think he can get the Milo versus Mordar matchup, I think his Diona versus Mordar would heavily favor the Mordar. I don't think it has an efficient answer to Harbinger, and I don't think you have a way to force a bad res with that Diona deck. But I don't know. I think Cat probably has the better... It will be interesting to see if it comes to a Milo matchup. Cat is a more conventional, high-cycle Milo. Doesn't have a lot of spells, but you don't necessarily need a lot of spells if you can have the cycle.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Clear Skies will be that beneficial if it comes to a Milo mirror match, just because there is no difference between who plays it, aside from the order in which the heals go off.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we might be able to see a Milloween mirror match, so we can put that theory to the test. So, we'll have to see, though. I'm very excited to see a Diona in a tournament format, because I haven't really had too much of an opportunity to do that as of yet. I wasn't really around much for the E4I tournament. Were you?
I was not.
Unfortunate.
Been around for a few of the King Puffs, but tournaments are not something I've had a lot of familiarity with outside of King Puff Cup. But I am also interested to see how Westland would deal with the Stormbringer. That Stormbringer... I honestly think his bans probably should have been King Puff and Stormbringer.
There's going to be a realistic cat scary on any master.
That is fair. I think it is... Cat is definitely...
Yeah.
The biggest threat.
We do see him open up with that Stormbringer against the Milloween, so we'll be putting this Milloween deck to the test. Very fast-paced start. Coming on out.
The weakness with this Milloween deck, as we're seeing now, is the potential for a dead hand against a Zhao. If you've got a lot of spells, it's very easy to get stuck in a position where you've just got to let Zhao get to face and get the damage.
That must have been a very awkward hand if he had to dagger force some scraps.
Yes, I'm not sure what all is in his hand, but you've got a lot of spells there.
I believe our stream can see what's in his hand, but having to throw a dagger into a scrap hat like that, it isn't fun.
No, and it looks like he's still not got them a good hand order.
How does he deal with the scrap tank? That's the question.
I think he just has to let it get to his arcane golem and hope that the golem has the damage. Or cycle to his scrap tank. But I don't think his deck is in a good order. I think that is the big weakness.
Clear Skies comes out just in time, and there is a Zhao long on the field, but it's going to be pretty much neutralized by it. That is one positive to this matchup. But yes, that Arcane Golem looking like it's going to go down here. I don't think it can survive that.
A lot of spells being played to try to get that Arcane Golem. It's not going to be enough. And Westland will switch over to trying to keep the top bridge. Westland needs to get his Arcane Missiles soon.
Ooh, nice distraction from the bridge boys on the fire it. I think that was just as Cat hit the marksmanship perk too. Unsure if that was intentional, but it was definitely very strong.
Yeah, I think watching through, I think that Milo deck is really going to struggle against.
Yeah, it's just looking too slow. It's not able to even remotely keep up with the pressure Cat's putting out of his mid-range deck.
And with the popularity of Scrat Tank being what it is, I question not having a better answer for it.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's forced to burn 3 spells on a Zhao. That deck has to be in terrible order for that to be a worthwhile play. I think, while any game against Cat is a problem, I think Westland didn't do himself any favors with deck construction. This is just not... This deck is not well built.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad deck, but I think this is just a bad matchup. Any sort of pressure deck looks like they're just going to roll this over. The Arcane Golem is strong, but a lot of middle-wing decks we see, they have it in there just as a perk 3 condition. You generally don't construct a Millowing deck with the idea of buffing up that Arcane Golem. Clear Skies, it's nice. It's a nice way to hit up the Arcane Golem, but you still haven't exactly built your entire deck around that concept. You aim for the perk 3 by using that card, and that's just not what this deck does.
Right, but I think the bigger problem with the deck that we're seeing now is it doesn't have a good answer to Scrat Tank, and that's such a common card. I don't see how you can...
Yeah, I think it's like close to a, among some of the high-level players we have in the tournament, like close to 60% inclusion.
Right.
It's just so common, and there's no answers to it. Not even a cleaver or something, which is quite popular in Millowing for answering that.
Right, and it doesn't have a very good... I don't think it has a good answer for the cards Cat will be running. Cat is a very consistent player, and I don't know if Westland thought he would have a different answer for Scrat Tank, but it seems he just didn't prepare to deal with the Scrat Tank.
Or maybe he just didn't go, he went into the tournament and, I mean, you don't exactly build decks specifically to answer one player. You'd never really get far in a tournament like that. And it's likely it's just that Cat's particular playstyle runs antithetical to Westland's. As he goes down there, Cat not taking a single point of damage in that match.
Yeah, I think Cat took damage, but it was healed by Clear Skies.
Was there even a Clear Skies in that matchup?
Yes, Westland had the Clear Skies.
Ah, of course. Yeah, that's very possible then.
But I think the bigger thing is, I don't see how you... I think if you're constructing a tournament deck, you should be prepared for an answer to... I think you should be prepared to have an answer to the Scrat Tank. I think that was the big weakness in that deck. Not just for against Cat, but just because it is one of the most common cards you're going to see.
That's true.
And
that's very true, yeah.
While Cat's style of play was difficult for him to get through, I think it was just... You didn't have an answer for Scrat Tank, and that completely neutered the Milloween deck.
Yeah. And now we have the Diona versus Stormbringer. How do you fare this matchup?
I think this should go to Cat as well. I don't think Diona will be able to get enough damage off or control the bridges efficiently enough. But if there is...
Does have those traps from the perk 1, but I suppose Stormbringer can out-pressure those so effectively. I'm pretty sure his units can outrange a crossbow trap, so he just needs to get it revealed.
Yes, that's the first danger I see. If there's anything that Westland might be able to exploit, it's the fact that Diona is new to tournament play, and so Cat might not...
That was a very nice decoy trap, actually.
Yes. I think that it might be possible to get a lot of value out of Diona in this KPC that you won't get later, just as people figure out all of the intricacies of that decoy trap and what it can do.
Decoy trap is obviously one of the highlights of Diona. I mean, a global taunt trap, it's really strong.
Right, and it's capable of completely shutting down Ravager's auto if you play it correctly. You can taunt the Ravager with a taunt totem played outside of Ravager's auto range, but that still keeps it aggroed onto the taunt totem.
Yeah, it makes Diona probably the most brutal hard counter to Ravager.
Yes, and with that and a crossbow trap, you essentially force the Ravager to play an answer to the taunt trap and then the crossbow trap, or take a lot of damage.
That just sounds kind of terrifying in general, honestly, to play against. Oh, good shot with the stun blast from the Westland there. Look how much damage he's gotten off of that.
And a good crossbow trap follow-up. I think he might be able to take this if he can keep using Diona's traps to full efficiency.
Yeah.
We'll also see how well he can play around Ruffles now that Ruffles is up. It will be very difficult to get Ruffles off successfully against a Stormbringer.
And he just got it off effectively, because he let some of the minions down his side of the field, and he gets 2 mana out of it, which basically gives him a base of 3 rammer. Unfortunately, the Screaming Scrat is there, though, to pretty much put that to waste, but that's a lot of commitment Cat just had to throw down to dealing with that rammer. That effectively only costs 2 mana.
Right.
And we see it again. Ruffles is off cooldown. He lets the minions come on his side of the field, takes them down, and then lets Ruffles take the potion safely. And then he gets like 4 experience out of it.
Yes, the 3 experience off of Ruffles and the 2 mana. Ruffles, if you can play around the mechanics of Ruffles effectively,
He's doing it so well. He's got 3 in a row of those Ruffles potions out, and Cat doesn't have any direct removal to deal with the Ruffles. You can't play aggro into the lane against it because there's just so many answers.
And I think this is actually a surprise. I think Rammer, a surprising inclusion, but a very effective one, just because it allows you to get off damage to face that doesn't require you to kill things on the opponent's side and potentially lose the Ruffles.
Westland's taking a lot of damage to face, but he's playing unbelievably well around this Ruffles. He's got 3 XP potions in a row now, and he's caught up to Cat because of it.
And that looks like it will probably be a 4
XP. He gets
XP
another
potion.
one! He's got 12 experience just from Ruffles alone at this point.
Very strong Ruffles control. I think this is it's probably the part of Diona that is the most difficult to do effectively, but probably
Who says this perk's inconsistent? When you're playing like this, you can get those every time, but he really has to start worrying about the amount of damage he's taking to face, and unfortunately, Ruffles is finally going to venture across the bridge. I'm pretty sure that means he's going to die. Yeah, there it
will
goes.
Die to the Stormbringer auto. That is the danger of this matchup.
Unfortunately, that heal would have been so nice here.
Yes, that heal is really going to be missed. I think Cap probably can take this now. And that Ruffles will not be getting anything either.
It's starting to slip. Westland's not got the resources to commit to protect this Ruffles, and he really doesn't want cat stuff getting close to his face anymore.
It was very good control while it lasted, but
yeah, eventually just comes a point where you're trading so much health in, you just run out of the resources you can really expend to protect that Ruffles. And the XP potions, maybe they just weren't what he was looking for in this match.
I think mana probably would have served him better just because I don't think his deck is constructed to win in Mana Frenzy. I think it's... I don't think you include a rammer if your plan is win in Mana Frenzy. And I don't think he's got the damage elsewhere to win early.
He gives out the GG. It's a very valiant performance from Westland, but Cat takes it in the end. Very interesting usage of the Ruffles perk. Just those XP pots, not really what you want when that happens.
Right. I think mana would have done him more value just to recover some of the mana he had to expend to get those Ruffles out.
Indeed. So that is going to be Cat taking the set 2-0. Once again, we're going to go into a quick break, maybe hopping into some matches along the way. We'll see you guys very soon. And going into round 4, we will have Greywolf versus Von Slacken.
At least recognize one of those names. Greywolf definitely.
I think I've seen Von Slacken in the previous tournaments. He's relatively new, but he's getting that experience under his belt, which is always good to see.
Definitely. I mean, I've seen his name before. I just can't really connect anything to the name as of yet. But that'll come in time, no doubt.
Indeed. So when you're going through the banning process now, Greywolf is first to ban. You see like pretty typical decks. Just kidding, it's Greywolf. They aren't typical decks at all. So we've got
Greywolf
a very interesting... He's got some very interesting decks. He's bringing back the Demon Warrior in that rather unconventional Ratbow.
Yeah, definitely. And the Mordar deck is even more interesting, to say the least.
It's very light on the minions. I think the intent is to just try and be obnoxious by resurrecting as much beefy stuff as possible, because there's no real bad resurrects there, and then doing some combustion Divine Warrior memes.
Yeah, and combustion on the construct is fine, has so much HP, and same on the tank, really. And then with the clear skies, just heal everything up over and over and over again, I suppose.
Greywolf just always brings these bizarre decks. It's a delight to see.
I don't think that deck will be banned.
It is not.
From a perspective that it's not super meta or potentially super strong, but also maybe the opponent wants to see how it works out in action.
You have the first couple of bans are in. Setsu is banned off of Von Slacken, while in return Von Slacken is going to ban Greywolf's Volko and King Puff, which leaves only his 2 off-meta decks. So this is going to be a real treat.
I mean, no doubt seeing, seeing a KP ban is very normal, I feel. I mean, basically any sort of KP is very
KP is just very strong right now.
Not like the completely standard KP list from Greywolf either, though. I mean, he's running Lancers. That's not something I see in too many KP decks nowadays. Scotty, definitely not a minion I see in too many KP decks either.
Scott is a minion that seems to have fallen off really hard lately.
Yeah, I mean, I still use him in my KP deck from time to time, but definitely fallen out of favor.
And then there's the Crystal Archers. It's interesting to see people putting Crystal Archers in their King Puff decks. What's your perspective on that?
I mean, after the nerf, I wouldn't really do it. I mean, before the nerf, I definitely understood why, because it was really, really strong. But, I mean, I guess they just want some sort of kind of fairly cheap anti-air and decent DPS. And just maybe just want to get their like higher value minions out more often, or they have some sort of like, they want to put it behind the Scotty or something else.
Yeah, and then Greywolf finally bans out the APEP, and Greywolf is not a huge fan of APEP, so I can understand that one.
Man, I don't think a lot of people are a fan of APEP.
Everyone's got that one master they don't like playing against, and for most people, that's APEP.
Yeah, I think like for the majority of, well, that's probably not like objectively true, but I think like for the majority of the quote unquote pro players, I feel APEP is the one master that they don't like.
Do you think that's still relevant today, or it's just PTSD from the old days of future present APEP?
I think it's definitely both. I mean, personally, I have a lot of PTSD with APEP, especially from previous tournaments I've played in. But I think APEP is still so strong, I feel, especially with like present APEP. And just when APEP has the potential to just roll godly RNG and fuck you over completely, which is never fun.
All right, here we go. Let's see which one of Greywolf's crazy decks he chooses to open with. He goes with the Mortar. With by far the most advanced guild name I've ever seen. You got a spectator bug?
My spectate is not working today, it seems.
Maybe try restarting the game. That's unusual. I haven't had any issues myself. I'll solo cast in the meantime. It's going to be very interesting to see how Greywolf plays this out. He only has 3 minions in this deck. And one of them is Crystal Construct, which you definitely don't see much at all these days. So it'll be very interesting to see what exactly his game plan is here. Crystal Archers are played to try and deal with that Scrap Tank, and it's going to tank up a lot here. Really just wasting the Crystal Archer's time. But that is good for Von Slaken, considering he wants to be hanging onto those bridges, and the Grasping Fawns is the play. That's really not going to do a whole lot against the Scrap Tank. It will know that the Divine Warrior gets dropped, but there's a laser turret as well. Just melts it instantly afterwards. It's a very slow start to a match. There's the combustion on that Crystal Construct. Wipes out everything. Scrap Tank reaching face here. Von Slaken's having a bit of difficulty getting through all these tanks, it would seem. It's not exactly the most thrilling of pushes. The damage really just isn't there. There's gonna be a combustion onto the warrior. Grasping Fawns played on the lane, but the Crossbow Guild, those crossbows really aren't gonna be accomplishing much. We're gonna get a nice, easy Scrap Tank resurrect. The laser turret is coming as a very interesting conclusion, mind you. This has to be possibly one of the slowest decks I've ever seen in this game. Death by 1,000 paper cuts going on here. Crossbow Guild's finally going to go down there on the bottom lane.
And I got another bug.
It's going to be the Barra that's going to stall stuff up, but Von Slaken is in a lot of trouble here, it seems. Scrap Tank, and Warrior. There's just really no way Von Slaken's gonna get through all of this tankiness. The Resurrection is insult to injury at this point. It's like getting beaten up by a bunch of old people. It really shouldn't be hurting as much as it does, but you're kind of getting rolled. And a free resurrect on that Crystal Construct's gonna give Greywolf some more mana. A bit better
There we
cycle.
go. I think I finally managed to load in here.
Hooray! Just in time.
So, constructs I see.
Constructs and the slowest. This is the slowest of the slow roll matches I think I've ever seen.
This seems
He's just resurrecting big minions and then they slowly walk across the battlefield and punch Von Slacken in the face.
it must
he
be
doesn't have an
horrifying
answer
to
to it.
constructs.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of mana back off of these constructs, mind you, so it's a pretty
Also
good
with
resurrect
the-
on Mortar still.
Also not getting that much value from the Divine Warrior after change. Shield
Watch out, we got a
down.
Frenzy Crystal. Ah. I wanted the construct to get the kill, but the Warrior finishes it up.
Hello, I'm gonna be helping you cast this game because bugs. Hello, Jules here.
Hello, Jules, the match just ended.
Yes.
Oh.
And I actually managed to load in for the last 10 seconds.
You loaded in? Alright. Bye.
Bye, Jules.
Nice having you here.
Alright, so hopefully the spectating will work properly for the next one. That is a
seem
pretty
to
unusual
not,
bug if you're able to get the output log for that one. I haven't heard of that one before.
I know, I seem to just not be able to spectate anyone on Discord right now. I have no clue why.
Yeah, Discord does seem to have a couple of issues at the moment. That's what I'm gonna have to check out. Seems the spectator function from in-game works just fine, so. And then a couple of restarts seem to fix it on the Discord.
Jumping into another match then. Okay, let's see. I've missed everything so far, but try to catch up on this game.
Yep. Should be more of the same, so you'll get the general idea of the thrilling adventures we had.
Oh, Von Slacken is playing his Combust Horde KP. Well, that sounds like meta to me.
That sounds like meta, but it also sounds like something Greywolf can actually deal with, so.
Well, the Mortar auto attack does help with it, and if you have a Divine like he does, or Daggerfall, that will deal with it decently. Also Shock Rock, oh, and Fireball. Never mind, he has tons of answers.
He has a lot
Never
of
mind.
answers for it.
Never mind.
I really love the way just combustion's used by Greywolf. I think he's done this before. We just have something weird like a Divine Warrior or Crystal Construct, he just combusts to deal with pretty
Yeah, I
much
mean,
anything.
And
It's really
Combust just
effective.
gets, yeah, it gets good value here. Like the construct can take a lot of combust before going down, and when you have
Yeah.
Clear Skies to heal up all your units, like you can just kind of cycle that and
Yeah.
just
You don't need some crazy Propeller Horde combo to make combustion work. It's a good card.
I mean, it's a good card in certain situations. I think it's definitely a more niche card. Well, it has been quite meta recently, but still a niche card overall, I feel.
Yeah. Another strength for this deck, obviously, it's impossible for Greywolf to get a bad resurrection.
It doesn't have any, it doesn't have a scrat pack or anything of that sort either, which is surprising.
Von Slacken was not expecting that Crystal Construct completely whiffs the combustion. Good
Yeah,
news for
though
Greywolf.
he does finally finish off that horde, but they did survive a long while.
They survived a long while, but it's really not what Von Slacken wanted to accomplish.
Yeah. Then the
Nice
Clear
Clear
Skies
Skies as
combust
well.
combo. He is behind. I mean, Greywolf is 10 XP behind here, though, which is not good against the KP once he hits that
It's
second
not
perk.
the best, but I think Greywolf's mainly going to be, like he did last game, he just relied on the slow roll of these unstoppable tanks that range units
Definitely.
have such a hard time dealing with.
Once Greywolf gets the second perk and can get twice as many tombstones out and twice as many good reses, then that will hopefully turn the game in his favor.
I think Von
Though
Slacken
still-
accidentally played a Lone Wolf unactivated.
That does seem to be true. It does happen to the best of us.
Happens to the best of us. You're all right indeed.
Playing unactivated Horde, though, that is a bit. Oh.
And
that's a bit
again, the
heartbreaking.
combustion. He's not expecting these redirects at the last second. Greywolf is showing a lot of experience in this matchup.
Definitely, and but also just playing it unactivated, that just seems like a very questionable decision to me.
I mean, it's such an unconventional deck. I feel like it's just taken Von Slacken by surprise. He's not sure what to do against this.
Yeah, and also the Clear Skies is countering KP's second perk quite effectively.
That too, I didn't
Takes
even
off the
consider
shields.
that. This is a great matchup.
Yeah, I mean the Clear Skies can just take out the propeller activator, take off the shields on busters, take off, just all extra status effects that KP relies on to win a lot of their matches.
Fortunately, Von Slacken's going to be able to run down the counter on these tombstones.
I am a bit worried though that Von Slacken has this XP lead of over 25 right now. If he does keep his XP lead, he will reach Mana Frenzy in not too long of a while.
And he has he might have taken some damage already. He probably just got healed up by the clear skies. But yeah, Greywolf's not exactly doing well in terms of bridge control.
No, he doesn't really have a lot of bridge grab, which is one of the biggest weaknesses of this deck, I would say. He just can't get the bridges cheaply or reliably with the units he has. He has to just res a lot and just
it's kind of relying on your opponent to be pretty passive in their playstyle to get the maximum value out of that scrap tank.
And also relying on the opponent not to have a lot of cheap cards to grab bridges or multi-unit cards to split. And KP has a lot of those.
Certainly has them, because he needs them when you're playing a deck of entirely 4 and 5 mana cards.
Yeah. Finally getting a combust off at least, but not on the Horde.
I think he should have given up on the Horde regime and he's playing Control. Which I think is definitely the right play here.
Definitely. That poor construct, they're trying to hit face, but invulnerable.
Well, it's 3 points of mana for Greywolf.
That it is. That's another good thing about construct I keep forgetting. Like, after the nerf,
does have quite a few things going for it, even after the nerfs.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a decent tank, just not used by anyone really at this point. But it still has its uses. Definitely does.
It's still technically the cost-efficient wall, but really doesn't see too much play outside of Lordar, but yeah.
And outside of tournaments either. In ranked, where you can use wild cards, I don't think I've seen a single one in ages. This match will probably go on till Frenzy though, and way longer than that, considering there's clear skies in play, and considering no one is really getting in damage on either side here. Like, both on full HP.
I mean, any damage Greywolf has done to Von Slacken, he's probably healed off incidentally through the clear skies at this point.
That he has. I do feel like he's probably healed Von Slacken more than he's healed himself overall, I believe. A good fireball.
Yeah, I don't think this is a game where you can even remotely come close to killing Von Slacken though. So he is pretty much got to play for Mana Frenzy at this point.
Yeah, I mean, now if he is taking the bridges, he is getting that XP back. Only 20 behind now. If he keeps the bridges here and
catching up pretty rapidly. That's a pretty good combust.
That's a really good value combust
there. And the frenzied stuff comes in. Wait, he's actually sighting those tombstones really quickly.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's getting free mana. He has like cheap spells and thorns, for example, to get just tons of those 4 or 5 mana units out.
Yeah, and it might just be golems, but even when there's a ton of them and they're frenzied, it's still kind of scary.
Yeah, and they do have a lot of health, so it's not like you can just place any sort of unit down and expect them to melt that quickly.
What do you make of this laser turret, though? That's such an interesting inclusion.
Well, I guess it's just to kind of counter like the Colossus, the red golems, the blue golems that this deck can't really deal effectively with outside of an answer like the laser turret.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this deck does have issues against big minions, so I guess it's just a catch-all for that matchup.
Yeah, just like in case.
It's a nice clear sky. He's gonna heal up, and the Greywolf's actually taken the lead in experience.
He has, and
this is the weirdest game of Minion Masters I think I've ever seen.
Well, it's definitely one of the weirder ones, yeah. Von Slacken will take a bridge back now, though. I feel like Von Slacken should be focusing on the bridge grabs and not necessarily pushing. He does take the top bridge.
Oh, the Mortal Dying does kill that Grasping Thorns, though.
It does. And he will... It will basically be a tie for Mana Frenzy here. Well, yeah, Greywolf will be like a few XP ahead.
I think Greywolf is favored going into Mana Frenzy just because of that Tombstone cycle.
He probably is, yeah. With all these reses and just with all the cheap supporting spells, he can probably keep the bridges way more easily than Von Slacken can. And again, with all these like big health units like the Construct, like Tank.
The only question remains is, how long is it going to take for someone to die?
I'm guessing 5 minutes.
I'm guessing we're going to be here quite a while, folks. Because if Greywolf wins this, it's going to take a long time to start dealing damage to Von Slacken.
OPO 2020. Is that a BM Fireball I spot? Or
No.
potentially misclicked?
Potentially misclick, I think. You just scout task. You kind of just start auto-piloting when you hit Mana Frenzy.
Those are definitely BM
that's got to be a
Fireballs.
BM
Those-
Fireball.
Okay.
That's a
Definitely
BM Fireball.
Just making sure that the domination is
The
real.
combustion's
Winning-
actually worked out so well. He just kills
Winning-
anything that one slacker spawns on top of him.
Just crushing everything with an army of tanks and constructs and combusts.
Perhaps
Sort
the
of,
most bizarre Mordor deck I've ever seen. Takes it 2-0.
Seems like a kamikaze deck, but without all the deaths on your side.
Yeah, it's the Kamikaze deck minus the actual deaths.
That's definitely a new take on the rest Mordor, I feel. I haven't.
Oh man,
I don't think
leaderboard's
I've
gonna
ever
be
seen
so
that.
fun now. just take out the crystal construct and put another scrap tank in there. I'm pretty sure you'll do well. You can go wreck faces with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a pretty dominating performance there in the end by Greywolf. Showing that construct is still, well, might not be the best card, but good enough.
It's not the best card, but it's good enough in Mordor. Gets the job done, and that free mana, I'm fairly certain that helped somewhere down the road.
He probably got like, what, 10, 15, 20 for free?
It adds up.
A good amount.
All right, so we're going to be going into a we're going to go into a quick break while we look for some of those intermission matches, and then obviously once round 5 starts, I will be replaced by Mr. Squid, and it will be Mr. Squid and Hagenome doing the rest of the Swiss stage. So if we don't find another match to cast, it's been great casting with you guys, and I hope you have a lovely tournament. If we do, I'll see you in a few minutes.
All right, we are back ready for round 5. We're gonna
Yes,
get the bands.
correct.
We're starting the bands for the Gamer Lazar match. Gamer is starting with a ban on APEP.
Very smart man. Knows how to ban things. Good.
I think that is a very good ban. Guardian is a difficult card to play against. I don't know if you don't have the hard removal for it, especially when it's got an Empowered Soul Stealer in that deck, that can be a huge threat. He does have Beam of Doom in most of his decks, but even that can be a bit dicey taking out some of the big targets.
It's also just APEP. I mean, the general rule of thumb, in my opinion, is just you ban APEP first and you think after.
I think that's a reasonable decision, especially when there's not another high priority ban like some of the Milo decks or a KP deck that should almost always be drawing out a ban. We're waiting here now for the next set of bans from Lazar. I think
wise,
I might ban Mordor. I think Mordor and APEP would probably be my bans off of Gamer's decks. Ratbo and Milo, the Milo, it's got cycle, but it's not so insane of a cycle that he can't deal with it, especially with what he has left. A Azali prop horde on Volko can easily clear most golems. You've got Infiltration and Colossus on the Setsu that I think can deal with golems. And regardless which of Lazar's decks end up surviving, I think they all can deal with a Ratbo Swarm well enough.
Personally, I think I would just ban the APEP and Mordor from Gamer. I mean, Gamer plays Ratbo quite well as also, but the Mordor just looks quite terrifying. If you get just a single Colo Res, you're already a good bit behind.
Right, and there's really, looking at that, he's got 4 minions that he doesn't really want to res, but it's very easy to stop yourself from resing an Illu Cleaver or a Screaming Scrat, and he's got the Black Hole for any hard removals that might be otherwise threatening Harbinger Colossus.
You can also use the Black Hole to guarantee, for example, a Colo Res, just by Black Holing it right before it dies, letting the Tombstone charge up, and then
instead,
rest the Colo.
Lazar coming in now with Ratbo and Milo bans. I don't agree with either of those. I think those are the 2 weakest decks against Lazar.
I understand the Ratbow ban due to, I mean, I've seen gamer play as Ratbow, and in a tournament scene, I think that it's understandable why you would want to ban Ratbow just because it's gamer playing it. But I don't really agree with the bans either.
Well, I think the one thing that might justify it as well is that there is a bridge shrine in that Ratbow deck, and Lazar's decks don't really have an efficient answer to that. I'd expect we see a Mordar ban coming in. I think that is the correct choice on Gamer's part. So Gamer will have his Mordar and Apep against Lazar's Setsu and Volko.
I think that Gamer's Mordar will get... I think Gamer's Mordar will do quite well here.
Yes, I think it might have a problem. It actually won't have any problem with the Propeller Horde, even if they get Azali shields, because it's got the Sunburn. And Sunburn,
also the Mordar auto helps on his side.
Right, but even if he's got a Colossus on their side, he can Sunburn his Colossus no problem, and also clear the Prop Horde off of it.
Yeah, and when you have Illo Cleaver, you have Xiaolong for support as well if you need it. You have Black Hole to kind of either take one unit out of...
and the match is starting. Gamer will start on his Apep, Lazar on his Volko.
The toxic Apep even. He knows how to play it, I see.
Gamer capping those bridges quickly. Lazar holding on to his mana for now. We'll see if He's getting close to floating on Lazar's, and he will open with the Azali.
That could be dangerous, though.
I think this will be a problem for him, even if he gets his Blood Imps down soon. There's a Propeller Horde, but the Propeller Horde still isn't going to do a lot. In fact, it's going to get cleared almost immediately with the Blastmancer. That's very bad. That is
absolutely wasted.
Yes.
And Azali's almost dead.
And Azali will drop very soon to the Blastmancer as well. That's a lot of mana Lazar is losing off the bat. About the only benefit he had there is that he didn't play Blood Imps, because Blood Imps into a Wheel of Doom is very bad.
He doesn't have Blood Imps though, does he? Wait, does he have Blood Imps?
No, he does not. I have no idea where I got that from. I'm just so used to...
You play too much ladder. I understand. I understand where you're coming from. I get it.
I've played too many terrible duos with people trying to make Blood Imps Azali work.
It's a common thing on ladder. I definitely understand that, where you're coming from there. The Morgul, though, will clean out most of this quite quickly. I mean, it does take the bridge, allowing Azali to give more shields off, but it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, that's going to be cleared quick. He's got the Prop Horde out, but Gamer's just going to answer with the Blastmancer again. Yeah. I don't see... He's going... Shock Rock is well timed there to get a bit more damage off with that Prop Horde, but I don't see that Prop Horde getting any value.
Gamer is also slightly ahead in XP, and he will have his invulnerability quite soon, and when he gets the shield, it'll be very hard for Lazar to get any damage in.
Yes, he's now got his perk 2. Lazar's still 7 experience away, but he does have the top bridge. He's not been able to control his marked bridge almost at all this match, which has been another problem.
No, it's not gotten many bolts off, and it's not gotten too much value. C-Gamer is hovering that beam, waiting for the Azali bat, waiting for the value there.
And there it will be down the beam right on face. That will clear all of the bats.
Not all of them. It does play that a bit too early. I think could have waited like a second or two more there. Been a bit more patient.
Not a big threat. Still not a big threat from bats.
It's not. It does not have a shield though.
But the shield's cleared by the Blastmancer. Oh, and that's also going to take out that Prop Horde before it can get anywhere near face.
And that Shock Rock is useless basically on that Blastmancer. It's too late. And Azali, yeah, it's hitting face, but doing no damage. But luck next time.
This is a difficult match for Lazar.
Even if Lazar tries to to DPS gamer down here. I mean, he has his shield, and he's facing a wheel, a beam in cleaver, a lot of damage.
And there's another beam to clear the bats, and that's actually going to be a Wheel of Doom to finish off.
Indeed,
that was a very strong showing by Gamer here.
I think just... I think like Lazar's bans came back to bite him in the ass there. I think he didn't think properly.
He could not afford to let that... I think his big problem was Gamer banned out his two of his least swarm-heavy decks. His Setsu has a lot of... His Setsu has not as much swarm, but that Volko was entirely reliant on getting a Scrat Horde or a Propeller Horde or bats to face, and letting an Apep with Blastmancer through just completely cut off that deck.
And also just the Lightning Bolt that... did Gamer play his Cleaver once? I don't think so. I didn't see him play a Cleaver,
I don't think Cleaver ever came out.
So he just didn't... the Bolt got no value. Like, all the other units are multiples. Like, you're not gonna get any value from that. You're gonna lose value if you even play it, so that's basically a dead card in your hand the entire game. And as a Volko, that's absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I think the problem was the bans were just not where they needed to be. I don't think you needed to ban the Milo deck. I don't think you needed to ban the Ratbo deck.
Does start out fairly aggressively here.
Infiltration, it's a risky play when you know he's got the Blastmancer.
Well, it's so-so. I would definitely play my Infiltration to support my Colossus, since I play an excessive amount of Setsu Colossus. But just playing it behind the defense though is alright. Get some damage in, and any early damage on Apep is good, so you can just try to get him down as much as possible before he gets a second perk.
That's going to be a Wheel of Doom coming through. It will not hit Flame Imp.
I think Gamer wanted to save his crossbow dudes there, but still hitting that imp got a bit too greedy.
Black Hole as his random, that's not the greatest, but the Beam of Doom coming down, that's going to clear the Flame Imp and get a lot of damage off on Colossus.
That Black Hole did nothing.
No, but Apep's perk 1 and perk 3 both can end up being kind of dead cards, but at least...
Well, Black Hole is still like a really good card, but that Infiltration got absolutely decimated.
Infiltration was meant to kill the Zhao, instead it gets cleared by the Morgul. This is the other problem I think Lazar's going to face into this Apep. His Infiltration is going to be very hard to use effectively. Between the Blastmancer, I think those Scrats die. Yep. Between
Blastmancer, Wheel...
Blastmancer, Wheel, and Morgul, I don't see him getting any of the Infiltrations to really get value. We will see the Cleaver out for the first time. Stun Lancer's getting played, but the Stun Lancer will be cleared by a Wheel that's also going to hit face.
And just clearing that one Lancer there is still decent, just trying to get Cleaver through. And trying to counter Cleaver with Defenso, which is not a counter, people.
It's not a counter. This case was better just because it was... Cleaver had the health where it would die just to Defenso's passive immediately. And it was on Senso's face. But yes, stop playing your Defenso into Cleaver. It's not the answer. It never has been.
I think spending 5 mana there to... you kill the Cleaver, but you almost lost the Defenso in the process. I think tanking 300 face damage there is better.
I would agree. I think it would have definitely been worth just to tank that. Infiltration...
Aggressive Beam. This will do a lot of damage with its push here. It does not have anything else to defend against it. And now, even this full Setsu clip is not going to finish off the Cleaver. And Screaming Scrat not placed in time.
And the Colossus now on face, but he's not using Shield Totem yet. And there's the Shield Totem down for the Setsu drop.
Using a 3-mana stun just to get that shield off for some seconds, which does help him get some damage in, but still, he's not doing enough damage. He's doing a good bit, but
I agree. I don't think he's got
push.
I don't think he's got nearly enough damage off. And
also the XP advantage in a gamer's favor here is quite heavy. Gamer's gonna hit his third perk soon, and at that point, I think it's just gonna outvalue Lazar to a quite heavy degree. The
and that's a blind date from his perk, depending on what
RNG. Hey.
And that's
not
a spirit
the
dancer. Not the but
not the Colossus counter.
But it does look like he might just be looking to push top lane for lethal and just ignoring the Colossus if he can get away with it.
You can do it. Steal that life. Almost got him.
That is going to be lethal by Gamer, just ignoring the Colossus push.
Yeah, that's one thing one mistake I see a lot of players make time and time again is that they're on fairly low health and then they just play like a Colossus or Red Golem, especially like Colossus, is a typical case. They play it in one lane and the enemy just doesn't care about it, pushes hardcore in the other lane, and there's nothing they can do. They don't have nothing to defend with.
And even with the infiltration, we saw that black hole come down to keep them from being able to clear. Gamer actually ended up with a lot of value out of that black hole just from the times he could use it to stop minions from blocking his cleaver.
Westland, obviously, the daddy duck here, known player. Maddie, I don't know Maddie too well. Can't really recall the name too much.
We'll see here. Ban should be coming in soon.
What decks are they playing? I see Westland is doing a Clear Skies Milloween. Cheap. Quite a cheap Milloween. A lot of like 4 1-mana cards, 2 2-mana cards. Yeah, definitely like a really heavy cycle Milloween, just getting to that third perk and wrecking. I suppose Ravager with the Rammer and Scotty even. And Stun Blast. That's surprising in a way. Diona as well with the Stun Blast there. And the Rammer.
Maddie's first ban will be against the Ravager. I think that's fair. It's a fair ban. Ravager... It is a very heavy push Ravager that Westland's bringing, and if you're not prepared to play against that, you know...
Ravager can just be devastating at the first.
Yeah.
If you don't counter the first perk perfectly, or if you don't have the cards in hand necessary to deal with the first perk effectively, you can just outright lose if you take too much damage, especially versus a Rammer that can continually burst you down.
Westland coming in with an APEP ban, I think that's a good call as well. I think APEP probably is the most threatening of the decks
probably watched the gamer match and thought, oh hell no.
I'd say between it, I think Ratbo or Mordar either would be a good second ban. And coming in, the Mordar is going to be the second ban. I think that those are good choices. I think Westland can deal with the Ratbo even if it's got the Bridge Shrine. And I don't think there's any particular threat coming from the Volko deck.
I'm not really I wouldn't be threatened by this Mordar deck, I think. But then again, I'm not really threatened by the Volko or Ratbo either. So basically any of those three, basically the APEP plus any of the other decks are just fine bans for me. Banning the Volko on Westland's side here, that's definitely understandable. It's a horde Volko with cleaver, it's a fairly aggressive standard Volko, just a lot of cheap units, bridge grabs, and just having the horde there as well is really scary, even if you do have Illo Cleaver and Defenso and Daggerfall in one of the decks there to counter it. I think not banning the Milloween though, this is a really heavy not heavy, but a really cheap cycle Milloween with Clear Skies and a beam. And you have a Scrat tank to tank for your golems.
Yeah,
well. That's scary.
I understand the Volko and Ravager bans, but I think Millo might have been a better ban there.
I think banning the Ravager and the Milloween probably would have been my picks there, but I think I probably would just ban the Milloween first, because that Milloween, I played enough games against Cycle, Clear Skies Milloween that I don't want to play it anymore. I've had enough. It's just, if you don't win before perk 3, you're going to start to really struggle.
I think most of that could be solved just by making Clear Skies not heal the bases as well. But that is a discussion for when we're not in match.
Yes, we can have a lot of these long philosophical discussions after the tournament. Starting
Westland
out
opening with the
duck.
Borg roll.
I'm just going to say
playing-
duck, I don't know.
Maddie playing very aggressive in response. That's a lot of mana out on the field.
Playing
invested.
the Volko here is probably his best deck versus... well, it's the best deck versus the Diona. I mean, one of the best, I suppose. Probably would have been better versus the Milloween, though.
That Rammer, is it going to... That will get off a second hit. It might even get off a third. There is a third hit. That's a lot of damage from the Rammer.
The stun actually getting some value, but I'm still not convinced it's worth it.
If he can do that consistently, the stun might be worth it. I think the stun also does have a use on Diona by forcing the retarget. If you can stun something with a long windup in the middle of their attack and force it onto a taunt totem, that can save you a lot of damage. Something like a Harbinger or a Colossus, a very good use of it is to just drop the stun and taunt totem it to get it off of something more valuable.
But just simply using the taunt totem to begin with without having the stun can prove just as useful as well, depending on his situation.
That's true, but I think that I think there is a use for the stun blast that might be more evident in Diona than in other masters.
Another Rammer coming in top, just guess Westland here is just trying to DPS the Volko down as fast as possible, almost getting the second hit in there. That was not worth it.
In
7
previous
mana for,
in previous games of Westland's Diona, we discussed the Rammer. I still think the Rammer is a good thought on giving an option to get out damage that doesn't put your Ruffles in risk of having to go to the opposing side. Westland will get his Ruffles off for 2 mana here. I think Rammer is just a good option on Diona for damage that doesn't put you at risk of killing opponents' minions where Ruffles can't get to them. And we'll see if Ruffles...
keeping the XP advantage here still.
Will Ruffles pick up that mana? Ruffles barely drops to the scratch before picking up the mana.
At this point, though, if Maddie is able to get his first perk, his bolts going, and some damage on face, Westland will be dependent on getting some heals, just like that heal bottle, to keep himself from death.
And he will not get that heal either. That will be the defensive clearing out Ruffles. However, Maddie very low on health.
He is very low. I mean, just the Rammers here, they do just show how worthwhile they are. I mean, if they get 1 hit off, it's so-so. If they get 2 hits, even 3 hits off, and do you have that stun, you can really just finish them off without them having anything to say about it. And
here, I think it's very possible to just Rammer Taunt Totem for the lethal.
Yeah, the totems of Diona, I still feel are very, very strong.
And there we go. That is going to be lethal from the Taunt Totem and the Rammer.
They need the Fireball.
Good first game. I think that was very well played by both players. It's just Diona has a lot of tools available to disrupt the opponent if they're not careful.
And also, I mean, then again, Westland did drop to around 500 HP there. He did not get a lot of heals, or did he get a single heal from his
I don't
Ruffles?
think.
I
think
so.
the only Ruffles he got was 2 mana, which...
Yeah, he did not get too much value out of his second perk, but if you do roll the dice correctly, quote-unquote, a few times, and you heal up like 500, 750, or 1,000 health, then that can easily swing a game in your favor as well. Diona seems to like a really strong master, especially with like, if you get some luck and you use your totems correctly, Diona is really, really strong.
We're into game 2, looks like we're going to see now Diona into Ratbow. A very good defensive that's going to clear out the entire Scrat horde.
And Maddie is running a Shrine Rat Bow, so he'll be probably hoping to get to Frenzy as fast as possible here, and just getting to those higher perks so he can just keep the bridge control consistently.
But he is playing it into a rammer, which means it's going to be much more difficult. You're going to have to be careful with the placement to make sure that the rammer won't kill your bridge shrine.
Yeah, I mean, you basically have to place it behind face to make sure it's not going to be killed. Then again, Fireball can take out most of that Shrine HP and hit face at the same time. So it's going to be hard for Maddie to get too much value out of the XP Shrine in this game, I think.
We're finally seeing that Dragon get on to something. Just was flying around for a while. That's a taunt totem on face to get some damage off with his Dragon. That's more damage onto Maddie.
Yeah, a lot of value from that taunt totem already. Like, that was like 200 plus damage.
Kind of surprised. I was expecting to see a defensive chopper out earlier there to clear all of it. Morgul first. I think it would have been worth it just to play the defensive and not bother with the Morgul initially.
Yeah, I think I agree. Maybe he wanted to get the Xiao in closer in there as well, but Xiao was out of the owner range, so just kind of ticked away on the defense a while there. Having used Xiao to clear it out.
And now we're seeing that XP Shrine be placed right in the middle.
It's not going to get any value though, is it? I mean,
no, that rammer's coming in right now. That rammer will take it out. And that's a stun blast.
Like, there's nothing that he really gets out of this. He spent 4 mana to get, what, 1 XP at most? And he took the rammer hit on the face as well.
Well, that Ruffles will not make it. It will get cleared by the defenso.
So much ruffle violence in this tournament. I'm not sure I can condone it.
Ban animal cruelty. Don't play Diona.
Definitely, or just like don't hurt Ruffles. Just like don't play any minions in the same line as Ruffles. Probably a good general rule of thumb. Ooh, and docking on the taunt totem, not the rammer there.
A lot of damage. A lot of damage just to the rammer.
Yeah, and I mean, as said, Maddie is playing an XP Shrine Ratbow, but he's behind in XP, just by 1 or 2. But he's not ahead at all in XP. And that is really bad for him.
He is getting a lot of damage off here, but unfortunately he's not going to kill the Ruffles, and that Ruffles heal is going to undo a lot of it.
That push from Maddie, that did way more than I thought it would. Thought we're going to clear out the rammer there. That's a good answer. Still losing the XP Shrine though. Ruffles probably going to get that off.
Yes.
That is with the Screaming Scrat. Good play.
A very good Screaming Scrat. That's effectively giving him a mana.
It is.
And it kept the bridge for a while. I don't understand these bridge shrine placements. I think he needs to be playing them in pocket.
I mean, it's not even dying to a rammer now, just dying to the Fenso and the well. I mean, you're wasting the mana, really. I mean, you're not defending your face much either. Like, it doesn't tank at all.
Right. You're barely ahead in XP and you're down in health in a match where you shouldn't be behind in either, and it's mostly been bad placements of the bridge shrine.
Yeah, I mean, he's just inviting the rammer to completely annihilate that shrine over and over and over again. And here he's going to come in here again, and how to counter it? I guess nothing, and it's gone. I mean, sure, the rammer doesn't get another hit off, but still, that's basically 4 for 4, or like close enough anyway. And
right.
I mean, he's slightly ahead in XP now, but he should. I mean, ideally, Rattle here should be way ahead in XP, especially with the shrine.
Right, and I think Rappo needs to be ahead, otherwise you get this point where Diona can get both traps online, and that's going to be a lot of damage to face between the taunt and the crossbow.
I'm still surprised that Maddie has been able to get this much damage on Westland's face. I did not think he was going to be able to get that much damage in as he has so far.
I think Westland's been... I think Westland has been letting some of it get base so that it can... Something like this, where you're getting that rammer onto face, lots of damage off of that rammer.
Yeah,
Maddie
I think
down to 300.
trading some defensive plays for more offensive plays. And I mean, the Rat player is basically dead. Just takes 2 fireballs, rammer fireball, 2 rammer hits. There's not much the Rat can do here. It's basically a done deal. He has no recovery either, health-wise. And unless Westland dies in this push, which is not...
He's getting swarmed, but he's going to instead just kill Maddie with a crossbow trap and a fireball for lethal.
That as well. The traps do just... I mean, it was nerfed before the release, but the crossbow trap still does a good DPS.
It was well played on both ends. Maddie just needed to get a bit heavier of a push going and needed to get some more damage early. And I think the big thing that harmed them was they could not get enough of an XP lead.
Yeah, I think like one of the the number one misplay there was just the shrine placement over and over and over again. Like personally, I just don't at all agree with that. I think it was just a waste, like 99% of the time.
I would agree. I don't think Ratbow's perk 3 is particularly useful in this matchup, just because most of the clear Westland was playing was clear that's going to clear any number of scrats you play. But
yeah, it definitely seemed like Westland as well. He didn't defend as well as he could have. He let a lot of things through that he didn't really need to let through, I feel as well, but still.
I think that's generally true. I do think part of it was his decision that he was going to focus just on getting the lethal, even if it meant he would drop very low himself. And you can afford to do that against a Ratbow, you know? I don't think this strategy would have been nearly as successful if this was against, say, King Puff or a Clear Skies Millow that has some recovery.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's so weird to me though. We didn't use Magma Storm a single time, right? I don't think so. He probably had a few opportunities.
I don't know that there were many times he wanted to Magma Storm. I think Magma Storm is a very hard card to get off of effectively in a tournament setting. Welcome back. We are hitting the final round of Swiss for the 31st King Puff Cup. Our feature match will be Cat versus Mephisto, a matchup we commonly see in finals.
That is a good point. I mean, it is basically the battle of the titans, of the gods. I mean, Hades versus Zeus, something of the like. Hopefully going to be quite entertaining here.
This is truly the Raja v Manila of King Puff Cup, and there are approximately 0 of you in the chat that get that reference because you're all disgusting heterosexuals.
I'm sorry, Squid. I'll be better. I'll try.
Thank you.
I'll be by today just for you.
We'll get to bans here soon. One person who got that was a reference to RuPaul. Yes, Raja versus Manila, Season 3, RuPaul's Drag Race. Thank you.
All right.
One person in the KPC chat who got that.
Good job, James. Okay, so Mephisto, Cat, all right. Decks. A lot of them have a lot of the same cards. Mephisto is running a Present APEP. I hope we're gonna get that banned ASAP.
A Red Golem Diona by Mephisto as well, with the Blood Imps.
And a Heal Puff. Could be interesting, could be fun.
An interesting deck, yes.
I mean, who doesn't love some Red Golem sort of BDSM Blood Imp action? I'd enjoy that on a Saturday night.
Same. On Cat's end, as discussed, Cat running Scrat Tank, Flame Imp, Divine Warrior, Screaming Scrat, Scrat Pack, and Illu Cleaver across all 4 decks.
Yeah, he does like a lot of cards. I mean, Fire Imp is good, Divine is good, Xiao is good, Screaming Scrat, Scrat Pack, Illo, all good cards.
Other common cards, we see a lot of flightless dragons as well, and spear throwers, both good cards as well. I think.
Yeah. Cat, I think Cat is definitely one of the people that like spear throwers the most of the top players. I feel he plays it in almost every deck.
Yes, a very, very consistent decks.
On Mephisto's side, though, you see this Setsu Clear Skies Harbinger? That's interesting. I mean, I haven't really seen a Clear Skies in a Setsu deck in a while, or like almost ever. And a Harbinger as well. Outside of the Harbinger, though, fairly cycle Setsu.
Yes, I'm not sold on that Clear Skies. I'd want to see it played before I make a judgment, but I'm not sure that's the...
I mean, it's not like you have a Colossus or a Red Golem or something to heal up either. I mean, I guess it could potentially counter KP second perk? Question mark? I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. I have to see how that turns out. Mephisto's Mordar is more like a cheaper sort of Mordar here, with the max being a 5 cost. A Monkey here, Balashihu, Succubus, or the Scrat Divine, and such. More of like a cycle Mordar rest deck. Do we have the bans? We are getting some bans. Cat banning the Mordar first here.
And Mephisto banning out KP and Mordar. Oh no,
Indeed.
the chat doesn't like my comment. Don't worry, chat. I'm sure there will be others for you to not like in this round. And Setsu final ban here by Cat.
Interesting to see the Setsu ban. I mean, I would have liked to see the Setsu deck in play here. I think that would have been some fun memes. But I guess Cat just doesn't want to face it for one reason or another. Banning the Mordar here from Mephisto as well. I guess he just doesn't want to face like kind of the cycle Mordar sort of deck. Even though Mephisto bans, I mean, banning KP from Cat, that's respectable. That's fine. Cat does play a mean battle of KP.
No one will stand in my
and
way.
yeah, also the Mordar. Cat's
And we
Mordar
are
is more standard, I feel.
in Mephisto opening with his Blood Imps. Not a
And I'm getting a
big
bug.
surprise there. Cat will clear it with the Dragon Pack. That's 250 damage to Mephisto early. But he is playing a Red Golem in this deck. It is his goal to get below half health for that.
Yeah, just hurting himself. Never been as fun.
Mephisto now out with the Empowered Crystal Archers. However, Scrat Tank and Screaming Scrat will clear both of them without any difficulty. An Elite Swarmer by Mephisto to answer the Scrat Tank early. And a Taunt Totem with Blood Imps. That's a strong play. Ooh, Mephisto taking damage from that Daggerfall and missing his own. Not a great start for Mephisto.
And I managed to load in. Hooray for me. All right. Yeah, Mephisto taking a decent amount of early damage here. Wolf there on the Archer is insta transforming that. It was as it was already half health.
It's a better push. We'll see if it lasts. Cat on his Milo, his main goal is just to make it to perk 3.
Of course, I mean, as every Milo. Mephisto does get some damage in on Cat here, though. Not a lot, but some at least.
Mephisto still above half health for now.
They'll save the Shao there with the Daggerfall.
This push looks like it will knock him below. He is now below half health. And we'll see if we get the Red Golem out soon. Mephisto actually doing a lot of damage here. And Mephisto questionably playing a Blood Imps while on low health. He might just be dead here.
And also, that Cat did Daggerfall those archers, which saved the Shao. And in the end, made the Shao enraged. So he did how much damage on the face? A shit ton.
Yes.
As far as I saw.
We're to Mephisto down to 500.
Does get the healing potion.
will get
But
the
then-
healing from Ruffles. He does have the heal puff in his deck. However,
Yeah,
not
I'll
always
probably-
the most reliable, but there is the heal puff out. It will get Daggerfall, but that does mean that Ruffles probably will be safe to grab that
Yeah.
pot with the red golem
Lucky
in
to
front.
get another health potion there. He really wants that HP back up.
Flame Imp going down, a well-placed scrap pack to
Yeah, it's gonna
delay
be
that
the
red golem.
Golem here is just gonna die without getting any value. I think just gonna keep them
It
off.
will
it
kill the... Yep, it does kill the Fire Imp just barely thanks to that Crystal Archer behind. And there is the next one.
Light.
That's another heal from Mephisto. He's back
The
to 1,000.
RNG.
Very good RNG so far.
I think Cat slightly miscalculated the red golem dying there, so his fire imp did die. That was a really sad healing puff from Mephisto, though instantly dies.
He does want to be careful. You don't heal too much, otherwise you'll end up
Above
back
the
with-
1500, but
Right.
he has
But
a
it does
ways to
not
go
look
for
like
that.
this will be. Does not look like it will be a problem to him anytime soon.
It's just gonna be difficult for Mephisto to get any value here with the red golem. Cat has the fire imp. He has the shrimps. I mean the Flightless Dragons. He has a lot of good DPS that's just gonna melt that red golem time and time again. He hasn't gotten close to face yet.
Right. We'll see now. Mephisto getting the mana from his Ruffles.
He's getting close to third perk. Man, Cat isn't that far behind though.
Mephisto needs to deal with that Flame Imp a lot quicker.
Yeah, and
A
then
good taunt totem that might be what he needs. Unfortunately, that Divine Warrior is out in front, and that there's scrap packs and the
Cat
Flightless
is going
Dragons.
for
It's just melted.
blood here. Cat is going face with those missiles, just going as hard on Mephisto as possible. An amazing Screaming Scrat there, the value.
Mephisto, very fortunate for all of his Ruffles heals.
It would have been dead otherwise. And another heal. Like, what is this?
But yes, and that will serve. It does look like it will survive. The Zhao is on the Elite Swarmer. Divine Warrior, though, will kill the Ruffles. Cat, you monster.
Killing a defenseless dog with a warrior, no less. No mercy. But Mephisto here is struggling. The missiles will do 150 or so damage, however much
That
it is.
Screaming
Got
Scrat-
another heal, by the way.
And Screaming
Never
Scrat
mind.
will clear out the Ruffles. Cat.
Yeah, I can't count the RNG he's had on the healing potions here. Like, the chances of those rolls must be in the low 10s or 4%.
Yes, it's been very fortunate for him. Cat, being a bit of a villain, has killed Ruffles several times.
Mephisto is getting no opportunity to heal at all. I mean, yeah, his red golems are keeping him alive. Now with Cat having his third perk and those stacked golems, he's not going to be able to defend himself against all this oncoming damage. And missile is going to come out soon as well, probably to finish off the match if Mephisto can't defend against the Shao and 7 stacked golem, which is not looking like it can. Here
Nope,
comes missiles
that
and
will
the
be-
dagger ball.
And that will be game 1 to Cat.
Convincing victory for Cat there as well. I don't think Cat was in any danger of losing at any point in
No.
that match. He had
His deck
fairly
was
good
just
control.
such an efficient counter to that red golem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was anything Mephisto could have really done there. I mean, he needed to do a lot of damage to Cat before perk 3, I think. But the red golem, even when activated, it went nowhere. It was melted immediately by fire imps, by Flightless Dragons, and when Cat has distractions with the Illo, the Scrat Pack, the Screaming Scrat.
And we're now going to see Mephisto's Apex opening almost immediately with those
Oh,
Plasma
right.
Marines.
Cat did
Very
not ban the
quick.
APEP. That is a Monka S. Present APEP even. This is gonna be fun. Is the RNG going to favor Mephisto today? Or will he be fucked over by it? One present is being rolled. Can't actually see what that card is because I'm spectating Cat, but hopefully it's not something too good. I don't want to have APEP PTSD this early.
We should see here soon.
Slight XP advantage to Cat here, nothing too much, but every little bit counts. Keeping that dagger pull ready on Cat's side here. Bara. Was that was that from the present? No, it was not.
It was not, no.
It would have been sick if it was, but no.
That is a Zeppelin Bomber from Apep's Perk 1.
And not gonna get hidden, but still, a bomber is not a bad first perk. Can get in some free damage. It does hit fairly hard. The Scrat Tank though, such a good card.
It's gonna get a lot of value out, though.
But the Priestess was the present then, I believe. Yeah, that's supposed to have been the present. 2-mana Priestess. That's all right.
Potentially a 3-mana Priestess. He does have both.
Oh yeah, did he roll both already? Yes, he did. A Priestess is not the best card for his deck here, but better than it's so-so.
Mephisto low on health and very behind in XP.
Yeah, I mean, over 20 behind in XP, and again, like,
Stixie cleared almost immediately, so it's Stixie and Priestess he's getting from his future cards.
I mean,
Stixie was at 4 mana, Priestess at 3 mana. Thanks, James.
Alright. Well, that is... I mean, Stixie at 4 is not bad, but it's not gonna counter a tank. It's not gonna counter a golem.
And it
it's
will...
not gonna counter a Fire Imp either, completely.
And it dies immediately to the Arcane Missiles, as Cat did previously. I don't think Stixie's going to be any value for in this game.
I mean, Mephisto will get the Unvulnerability Shield here any second now, but he's already lost 2,000 HP. He doesn't have any HP recover either.
Mephisto did get fortunate with that Scrat Tank placement. It was open, but not close enough to damage face while running. A very good placement with that
Using
Bara.
the Priestess to the best of his ability. Priestess basically a value to protect the Bara there. It doesn't have any other minions that would really benefit too much from the Priestess. Scrat Tank though, such a good counter in this case versus the Bara. Takes almost no damage. The Screaming Scrat standoff there, both detonating.
Stixie will be dropped soon. The Stixie just isn't going to get value. I don't know that I'd play it at all.
I mean, the Arcane Missiles is just going to continually take it down. I mean, even if it's 4 mana, the Arcane Missiles is 0. So you're still losing a lot of mana every single time you play that. And
the only
advantage you're getting.
The only possible advantage of that Stixie is that it does force out the Arcane Missiles that might otherwise go to something like Priestess or Bara.
That's still not a victory in any significant way. And now Cad with the 3rd perk. And yeah, sure, Mephisto does have shield now, but it's far off his 3rd perk. Like, it's very far behind in XP. And this Cad with his XP advantage and the 3rd perk with Melloween is probably just going to close out this game sooner rather than later, I think. I don't think Mephisto has anything to say.
This push looks very bad for Mephisto.
Yeah, like, he did not get the RNG rolls he needed this game, and Cat wins in a even more convincing fashion than last game.
And that will be
quick.
A drop.
Yeah, those games were really, really quick. That was, I mean, I expected like a 7, 8, 9, 10-minute match times 3, or at least times 2. But I guess you were not that lucky today. But Cat demonstrating that, you know, he's quite good at the game. I mean, so is Mephisto, obviously, but Mephisto not picking the best decks there versus Cat, perhaps being a bit unlucky.
Yeah, that Millo just... Neither of Mephisto's decks really could do anything about that Arcane Golem.
I mean, also, I mean, the APEP there, I mean, the rolls, they were far from good enough. Like,
yeah, the Zeppelin Bomber as a roll, no value out of that. Almost no value out of Priestess. No value out of Stixie. Those were just
Yeah, I mean, he did not face
essentially
deck he wanted.
useless rolls for Mephisto.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's quite unlucky. It's like, okay, you get a priestess. Okay, what do you do with it? I guess the best you can do is maybe heal a Bara. It's not the best. Stixie, what can it do? Well, it can hit a close tank or maybe scratch the golem a bit, but like, you're not gonna get much out of it. It's quite unfortunate there with the Apep rolls. I mean, sometimes Apep crushes, sometimes he just fucks you over. Potato, potato.
And that we'll look now to see if there are any other games to spectate as we finish out Swiss.
There must be a few games considering how quick that specific matchup was.
I'd guess we still have some games in progress somewhere, and we'll go hunting for those.
Indeed.